David, after you. Given that you are an expert on the monarchy, we've got you a throne.
Well, you see, it's like all attempts at modernising the monarchy. Preposterous, overblown, and, of course, bright red.
I have a throne too.
Yes, well, I suppose this is the new democratic monarchy. We all have thrones, yes.
David Starkey, we're about to begin. I'm going to ask you to count us down, please.
9.
No, 2.
Okay.
Okay, we're starting. Is it true that you have a Daimler, which is chauffeur-driven, that takes you about, or is this no longer the case?
It is, alas, no longer the case. It's turned into a pumpkin, and my driver, I think, is in the point of turning into a frog footman.
Now, you have a reputation, amongst some perhaps, as the rudest man in Britain. Is this preposterous and unfair?
I think it is preposterous and unfair, but on the other hand, it was extremely valuable. I always say it was worth at least $100,000 a year.
Do you ever feel remorse? Do you ever think you overstepped the line?
Yes. Often when I did the moral maze, you'd waken up in the middle of the night and think, my God, did I really say that? And then normally the following morning, you'd be rung by somebody else offering you even more money, at which point repentance faded.
What do you think?
Remember, I was directed by one of your fellow BBC producers to be as outrageous as possible. The programme was rather nicely described as moral tag wrestling.
Well, what do you think is the most important moral issue of our time?
Whether freedom is compatible with modern society and modern economics.
Do you think that coalition government is here to stay?
It will depend what happens with the electoral system.
How do you think the monarchy stands in 2010?
Less bad than most of the other institutions of public life, less bad than the church, less bad than Parliament, less bad than the law. The only one of our institutions that survives, and that in a rather artificial way, is the army. Even the navy's laughed at.
When did you develop your interest in the monarchy as a historian?
Oh, purely out of reaction. When I was an undergraduate at Cambridge and I was told the only thing that mattered was the history of trade unions, the Soviet Union, and awful snotty-nosed people like the group in society that I came from. Immediately I said aristocracy. Immediately I said monarchy. And what was wonderful, I was pitied by my fellow students. You know, you'll never make a living, they said. And there they all are, holding chairs in social history at the ex-polytechnic of Snodgrass. And in the days when I had the Daimler, I would drive past slowly and wave at them. Yes.
What is your biggest passion outside of work and outside of history? We'll come back to history in a minute.
I love houses. I have too many of them. I like space. I like the way in which you can shape space to produce yourself, to fit yourself. I'm a kind of architect monkey. I also love the privacy that houses bring. I live quite a lot in the public eye, but I've always tried to keep genuine private space. That's a house.
Your real area of expertise as a historian is the Tudors, the Tudor period. How come?
Accident. Like everything important in my life. I had a teacher at school who gave me the run of his library, and that was his area of interest. I went to Cambridge, and there were two great figures. There was Geoffrey Elton, and there was Jack Plum. Plum showed no interest in me, was too keen on Sharma, so I was left with Elton, which was the Tudors.
You know an awful lot about Henry VIII.
Mm-hmm.
Which of his 6 wives interests you the most?
I used to say Anne Boleyn. I've now decided Catherine Howard. She has such a wonderful record of teenage sex, and she demonstrates, that we really did it before 1963.
Anne Boleyn, her reputation has been enhanced by David Starkey. Is this true?
Yes, and many others. What I tried to do was to say, she wasn't just a sex pot. The essential of her power, like Cleopatra, the famous phrase, the length of the nose, it was her ability to seduce Henry, but she was intelligent, she was interested in matters religious, and she was above all Henry's backbone. It was she who drove him.
Which do you think is the most significant century in British history?
Oh, the 16th, I would say that, wouldn't I? But I could also support it. Before the 16th century, we are another European Catholic country. After it, we're a very oddball Protestant nation. And by the way, the Channel has become the widest strip of water in the world.
Do you think that humanity is progressing or regressing?
I think it's doing a little bit of both. There are many areas. Medicine is the most obvious. Technology is another, where clearly we're soaring ahead. Other areas like language, like music, like social responsibility, like politics, we're arguably regressing.
Is there a philosopher whom you most admire?
No. Mostly, I think philosophers are rather tiresome people who make very simple things very complicated.
And that, on another attack, is it. You had me floundering around trying to think of the next question. It was very entertaining. Thank you very much.
Great pleasure, yes.
Really nice to see you.